Right. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Tim Quinn, the interim CEO of the Greater Stockton Chamber of Commerce. And today we're having a little webinar here about the fourth round of the San Joaquin County Small Business Assistance Grants that are opening tomorrow. This time around, the max you can get is $100,000. So it's up from the last couple rounds here. But we just wanted to educate the business community here on what the grants are about and really what you need to fill out the application correctly, because that was a lot of the applications, I guess, that did not get approved weren't because they didn't qualify, but it was because they didn't include something or didn't fill out the application correctly. So we want to make sure to answer all your questions today and really make sure you're able to access this money, because I know it's vital for our community and business community as a whole here to endure this never-ending pandemic that it seems like we're going through here. So with that, today we have Katie Poole. She is an analyst from San Joaquin County WorkNet. She's going to join us and give a little brief overview here about the grant and a little bit about that, and then we'll open it up for questions from everybody here to answer your questions, and hopefully, like I said, get those answered. So when it's time to fill out the grant tomorrow, you have all the information you need, and you can get those in, because it is first come, first serve, and we'll hopefully be able to get the county to get you some money here. So with that, I will turn it over to Katie.
Great, thanks, Tim. And thank you everybody here for joining us today. I just want to recognize the Board of Supervisors and the County Administration's Office of San Joaquin County for putting forward this grant for our business community. There's also going to be one for our families for rent to be reimbursed and utilities as well. So if you are in a situation like that, or if you have tenants in a situation like that, I would encourage you guys to let them know that there is a family relief grant as well. So to get right into it, just to confirm some things that Tim stated, yes, its max grant is now up to $100,000, and we are opening it tomorrow, September 1st at midnight, and it will go through, the application period will go through the end of September 30th. So that'll be the application period. And we have 20 million to give out to businesses that qualify for up to that 100,000. And it's first come, first served, but I want to also state it's first completed, first served. So the first complete application we get is how it will go. So if you provide something and you're missing some documents, we'll move on to the next one that is complete until you get us those documents in. Once you get those documents in, we'll go back to your application. We do have dedicated staff this round as well. So the county saw an importance and listened to some of the feedback we got from our residents that we really needed to have a quicker turnaround time. So there's a few things we've done to implement that this time around. We're going fully online. So your application is now on a portal. So you're going to click that link at midnight and you're going to start applying. You're going to create a username, you're going to create a password, and then you're going to go through a system that walks you through step by step what you need to enter. One of the nice things about this round is there's also a pre-eligibility screening. So before you even get into the meat of the application, you're going to do a quick, I think it's 10 questions where you're going to answer and see if you're even eligible to this grant. Those questions are going to be, is your business located in San Joaquin County? Do you have less than 100 full-time employees or equivalent? So for instance, if you have 200 part-time employees that only work 20 hours each, that would be the equivalent to 100 full-time employees that work 40 hours a week. So that is what the equivalent means. And do you have a current business license in San Joaquin County or equivalent to do business in San Joaquin County? And do you have a current W-9? The W-9 is how we make payments. So even if you're a nonprofit, you do have to have that W-9 in order for us to get you payment. You have to have been in business since January 1st, 2020 or before, and you have to be able to submit documentation proving that you have been in business since then. This can be expired business license from that time period. This could be a business bank statement specifically for your business that you're applying for, so not a personal account. Or other means that could be accepted would have to be looked at on an individual basis. So you'd submit those documents and then we would review those to see if they're acceptable or not as confirming that you were in business prior to January 1st, 2020. I saw a question in there about past due rent. If you have past due rent and you have not been open, but you still have to pay that past due rent, You can get reimbursed. You won't get reimbursed for that past due rent, but we will pay your landlord directly. You will have to have a landlord participation form completed. You will have to have, your landlord will have to have a W-9 that is current, and they will have to have a tenant statement. So they will have to provide documentation showing exactly which months are past due, and how much for each of those months. So that's kind of a brief overview of it. And I wanted to get into some more nuances so that we could give you guys some good tips on how to best qualify. So we did have 1,091 applicants the last round. That's the most we've had in any of our previous rounds. I'm hoping to get double that this round and hopefully get even more approvals this round as well. We had 702 approvals out of that 1,091. And so about 300 denials, and about maybe a quarter up to a half of those were because people did not provide the correct documents after multiple attempts of trying to get the right documents. So we're doing a few things on our end to help correct that. We're opening up our WorkNet Center facility. September 13th is our grand opening of our new place at 6221 West Lane. And we will have a small business center where our dedicated team for just the small business grant will be there to ask questions. We are in the process of moving to that center. That's why it's not open on the 1st. So September 13th is the grand opening of that location. And we will also have phones once we get completely set up where you guys can call. And when you are assigned an auditor for your case, your auditor will have a phone number where you can reach them at directly. You'll also be able to communicate within our portal, the application portal system, with your auditor. So it's really nice. It's a lot more smoother and quicker communication now. So that was something that our new application portal was able to bring to us. So again, I do want to reiterate that there's no paper application. You're not going to email anything in to our previous emails that we had unless you have a question. Any questions that you have, you want to send them into small business grant questions with an S at sjgov.org, sjgov.org. So small business grant questions at sjgov.org. And we do reply to those within the same business day. So less than a 24-hour turnaround time for those. And so one of the things we noticed was not getting statements from people. One of the best things to do for your utilities is to get that statement directly from PG&E, get the statement from City of Lodi or City of Stockton or any of your other utilities. Most of these places have a statement option where you can actually download, it's called a statement, and you download it and you send it to us in that portal. And it will actually show what months you paid, what months are past due, and what you still owe. That is the easiest and quickest way for us to get the information for your utilities back to you, for your payments. If you can get that tenant statement from your landlord, that's the quickest and easiest way for us to approve your application. Another thing is the W-9. You need to make sure you have a W-9 that is the October 2018 revised edition. It says it up at the very top left-hand corner. It'll say October 2018 revised. And that needs to be dated and signed by you within the last 12 months. If it's even 13 months ago, our payroll processor will not accept it. It has to be within the last year. So that's another thing that was holding up a lot of applications. And I just checking my notes. Another thing was not having a business license. We couldn't get proof that the person was in hold of an actual business license. So make sure you have that document as soon as possible. If you don't have it right now, I would get it. I would apply and then submit that part of your application as it comes available to you. You can submit the receipt in the meantime as that interim proof, but as soon as you get the actual business license, you'll want to provide that to us as well. So I'm going to go through some of the questions. We've answered Roderick. So Gwendolyn had a question. Are these grants structured based on the amount of employees or based on the impact need? Why I asked smaller businesses have many needs and cannot afford to hire many employees. Correct. So that's something that the county recognized. So you can have as few as 1 employee being yourself or up to 100 full-time employees. It is not based on the amount of employees. You just can't have over that 100 full-time employees to be considered. After that, the county does not consider you what's a small business for parameters of this grant. So it is based on impact and need. The impact is your revenue. So one of the pre-eligibility questions is, do you have a loss of income from 2019 to 2020? So you have to be able to demonstrate that you made less in 2020 due to the pandemic than you did in 2019. The way we do that is based off of your profit and loss statements as a business, or some businesses do not have a profit and loss statement. Then you can use your Schedule C for business taxes. That is the 2 ways that we can verify your income. So the period that we go back to, so the application period is September 1st through September 30th, 2021. We go back, if you've never received a grant through the county before, we go back to March of 2020, March 1st, 2020 through the end of September 30th, 2021. That is your period of harm. So you can provide profit and loss statements for that period, or you will have to provide your Schedule C from your business taxes of 2019 and 2020. You still have to provide 2019 profit and loss statements as well to match the period of harm you're applying for between that March 2020 date and September 2021. So for instance, let me give an example of that. For instance, in 2019, you made $50,000 as a business. And let's say in 2020, you made $30,000. That right there shows us that you have a harm of $20,000. You will not be eligible to the up to $100,000 of this grant because your harm is only $20,000. And then on top of that, it's based off of your need. So what did you need to pay for utilities, rent, and PPE reimbursement? Those are the only things this grant covers. So a lot of people were confused about that. They were thinking it could supplement wages because we had done that in previous rounds. This one is no longer any wage supplement, and we don't cover trainings that you send your people to. We don't cover the cost of advertising, anything like that. It is strictly for your rent, your utilities, and PPE reimbursement only. That PPE reimbursement has to have itemized receipts. So we can't accept just a credit card statement. You have to submit an itemized receipt. So if you went to Costco and you used your credit card, you need that Costco receipt showing exactly how many masks, how many, whatever it may be, that was PPE. We are expanding PPE outside of just masks and cleaning supplies. You can submit PPE reimbursement for things such as tents that you had, if you're a restaurant and you had to open up outside, that kind of thing. And you can also do the barriers, the plastic protectants that we're seeing go up everywhere. Those also are included. If you are a doctor's office and you already, or a dentist's office, and you already have to have a certain amount of that PPE because of your medical practice, then you have to show us the extra amount that you bought due to COVID-19. So we're not going to cover your base masks or your base gloves. The base supplies that you normally have to have every single year, you need to show us the difference that you bought between 2019 to 2020. So let me go through a few more of these questions. Yeah, so Susan, yes, if you have 1 employee, even if that employee is just you, you do qualify. Gwendolyn, can we receive the landlord agreement form and any other forms so that we can have these forms completed and submitted? So all of it goes live. All those forms go live they're actually built into the portal. So you'll have to download those forms once the portal opens. But what you can do is have the rest of the application done and then go back and submit that landlord agreement. Will there be an opportunity to upload documents? Yes, there will. What's really nice is for every single thing you enter, for instance, the amounts for each utility, that right there, there's going to be an upload. You'll put water, PG&E, you'll put the amount that you expect to be reimbursed for, and then you'll upload the documents as backup to what you're requesting. Linda asked, will you be reviewing the criteria that will be used to determine what businesses qualify? I think we kind of went over that, but I can touch base on that again. So you have to be in business since January 1st, 2020 or prior, and be able to provide documentation of that. You have to be within San Joaquin County. You have to have fewer than 100 full-time employees, and you have to be able to demonstrate loss of revenue through your gross revenue from 2019 to 2020. And then the financial impact can be anything. So we have really micro businesses, is what I call them, but like mom and pop, you guys are the only ones, you're the sole proprietor, right? And so maybe you have a really tiny business and you make maybe 30,000 a year, right? If you have any harm, whether it's a loss of 5,000, 1,000, even $100, or you have a loss of your whole entire revenue of 30,000, or you're a bigger small business that makes $1 million a year and you have a loss of 500,000, we'll be able to reimburse up to, and not reimburse, but help with expenditures up to $100,000 per separate business. So if you have a tax identification number, whatever that tax identification number is for that business, that is what you'll be allowed that business up to 100,000 for. So for instance, we have some people that have LLCs and they have multiple businesses that they operate under that LLC. Well, if that LLC tax identification number is the one used for all those businesses, you're only going to be eligible for one grant. If you have two separate businesses that are not integrated together at all, and you have two separate tax identification numbers for each of them, and you file taxes separately, you can file for each business separately. So we also ask that if you do have an LLC, you do not apply for each one of your businesses under that LLC separately. That will slow us down. And in the end, you will only end up getting one grant anyways, because we will have to combine those applications. If you have, so that kind of, Nabil, I believe that answered a little bit of your question about 3 businesses with locations within San Joaquin County. So again, if they are truly separate tax identification numbers, you would apply for those separately. If they are under one group, one LLC or one incorporation, then you would apply for that on one application. Licensed child care providers do qualify for this grant. We have to do those a little differently, but the application process on your end is exactly the same. You do have to have a state license showing that you are able to provide childcare within your home. You do not have to have a small business. You do not have to have a San Joaquin County business license, but we do recommend that you do that though. It just helps move things along quicker. So if you do have that, I would submit that. I had to close a business and had early lease termination. I paid about $60,000 for early lease termination. Do I qualify for that payment? No, we don't pay for early lease termination. Simply rent or mortgage if you own your location, or utilities and PPE reimbursement. Where will we find the applications? The application is going to go live at sjgov.org/COVID-19/grants. And in that area, you'll be able to select the family grant and also the small business grant. So for you guys, you'll select small business grant, and then a portal will open to the application link. Can we show PPE receipts for the harm period of March 1st, 2020 to September 20th, 2021? Yes. So if you have PPE receipts all the way back to March 1st, 2020, and it'll be through September 30th of 2021, not the September 20th. And that's only if you have not received previous grants. So if you have received previous grants through us before, your eligibility period is going to be February 1st, 2021 through September 30th, 2021. If you've never received a grant through us before, your eligibility period will be March 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2021. Yes, past paid rent is also covered. So if you were able to pay your rent during that March 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2021 period, as long as you can provide proof of that payment, this grant will cover paid rent from that period. So not just unpaid. And same thing for paid utilities. If you paid your utilities during that time, this will also pay you back, give you reimbursement for those paid utilities. 501c6 nonprofits are eligible to apply. You just need to make sure you're providing that W-9 for payment purposes. If you received SBA PPP loan grants, is the business still eligible? Yes, you are. What we do is we take your revenue from 2019, your revenue from 2020, and whatever that is. So let's use that scenario of 50,000 in 2019, and then in 2020 you got 30,000. So you have harm of 20,000. Now let's say you got a PPP loan in the amount of 10,000. Your new harm would then be 10,000. And scrolling down here, can you explain again exactly what statement we need from utility companies, what should be on it, and what all utility companies qualify? So the utility companies that qualify are PG&E, your city. We also are doing internet and phone for the business specifically. So for those home businesses, like the childcare businesses, you would have to have a line that is solely for your business, not your typical just home phone. And then what form do you need from utility? It's called a statement typically. I know PG&E definitely has it. We had some people submitting the PG&E statement and some submitting their PG&E bills that they would receive. The PG&E bills don't show us everything we need to see from a monthly standpoint. So that PG&E statement is much easier for us to go through and makes a quicker turnaround time. I have a greater loss from 2021 than 2020. Can I submit profit and loss statement from 2019, 2020, and 2021? Yes, certainly. The more information you can provide us on your harm, the better. Currently, we are fixating on that 2019 versus 2020, but submitting that 2021 to show an even greater loss of harm would be helpful. Will the amount of loss be determined by change in revenue or change in profit? I had profit in 2019 and a loss in 2020. So we go off of gross revenue. So typically on your profit and loss statement, that would be your amount after your cost of goods sold. So on your profit and loss statement, you'll see your overall revenue, you'll see your cost of goods sold, and then you'll see your gross revenue. That's the line we're taking. We tried to come up with a way that would be equitable across all of our businesses. And we know there can be a lot of different things that people take out after that gross revenue, but typically there's a more even point if we're just looking at that gross revenue after cost of goods sold. We have been in our building for over 3 years. Our landlord only receives cash for rent. We do a receipt each month, however, he will take checks. We can submit all cash receipts along with tenant statement and his W-9. This is going to be one of those one-off things that we will have to review further. You'll want to submit all your cash receipts along with the tenant statement and his W-9. The only problem is we need to, this is, of course, county money that we are giving for this grant. So we do need to make absolutely sure that it's not just something, not saying this is what you were doing, but in situations in the past, we have had where people get one of those receipt books from the dollar store and they just write out whatever they want on it. So we do have to have things to back up those cash receipts. So a tenant statement, his W-9, and possibly his records showing what payments he's accepted from you, that would be better than just the cash receipts. And I really recommend going into some sort of thing where you're actually getting proof from your landlord that you paid. It's good business practice. We received a 3rd round grant. How will we treat this in new application? Also, please explain harm period again. Okay, So you are going to list previous grants received, just as you did in round 3. So in round 3, we had a section where you listed what other grant money you received, whether it be from the county, the city, the state, federal, and that would all be listed. That is then taken out of your revenue, your harm period. So for like the example I did earlier, 50,000 in 2019, 30,000 in 2020, and then we made you whole in part with our grant that you got maybe 5,000 from in round 3, you'd put that on there. Same thing for PPP, EIDL. If you have started a repayment on your EIDL, please provide proof of that, and then that will not be considered. A lot of the majority of the EIDLs have ended up being forgiven. So unless you're actually in repayment mode, that's considered a grant. And I did say CBOs, 501c3s can apply for this. Any nonprofits can apply for this. Home businesses can apply for this. Food trucks can apply for this. You just have to have a location that is accessible to the public.
There's a few questions in the chat as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get over to those. And the harm period again, so it's going back to March 1st, 2020 to September 30th, 2021, if you've not received a previous grant through us. Meaning the county, not the city. A lot of people had questions about the city versus the county grants as well. So let me go up to the top of the chat for questions. If you have a home office, you do qualify for utilities. You can also qualify for rent. That is going to require you to submit your business taxes. Your Schedule C is what we use. I think it's line 30, but don't quote me on that. But it's around line 30 of your Schedule C will actually say the percentage of your home that's being used for your business. We will take all of your utilities for your home, all of your rent for your home, and then we will multiply it by that percentage. Divide it by that percentage, and that is the amount that you will be eligible to for the grant. So home businesses still have a way of getting reimbursement for part of their utilities and part of their rent or mortgage. Utilities or other documents, so I think I went over that. If you've not filed your 2020 taxes yet, can you use profit and loss statement of your business that is prepared by business owner? It has to be a profit and loss statement that is looks legitimate. So for instance, something from QuickBooks or any other programs like that that you might be using, that's what we would need, and that would be perfectly acceptable. My business started at the end of 2019, so my profit and loss statement will show that I made more in 2020. Yeah, we came up with that a lot in the previous rounds as well. Businesses newly started. So what we do is we look at a more consolidated harm period. We'll probably need to work with you more one-on-one after you submit your application. But what we typically do is, let's say you opened in December of 2019, then we would look at December of 2020, and we would see what the difference was there. The business address for the new, so it's not a business center, it's a WorkNet center. We do things for both businesses and those looking for employment. And that address is 6221 West Lane. And that's opening September 13th. And that is in Stockton. It's off of West Lane and Swain, right across from the Holiday 8 Cinema. If you've not filed 2020 taxes yet, can you use your profit and loss statement? Yes, you can. Let's see. So the portal accepts document types in all formats. We prefer PDF. PDF makes it easier for us to download and use on our county computers. But the portal will accept, I think, TIFF, JPEGs, PDF, Word doc. Tax preparers are eligible. If you have a business license and you meet all those other requirements, then you can apply for this as well. Landlords are also eligible. You just cannot use your tenant's rent as your rent. That is your income. So that was another confusion that we had come up a lot, is the landlords would apply on behalf of their tenants, which is okay. This round, I would encourage you to have your your business tenants actually apply on their own behalf, and you will be directly reimbursed for any unpaid rent. But if you are a mortgage company and you had losses in income, in revenue, then you can also apply. You just can't get reimbursed for your tenant's rent under the rent portion. If you have rent for your own building or your own home office that you run your landlord program out of, then you can submit on behalf of that. Remember, this does cover both unpaid and previously paid rent. So I have a question. Can you review where we get statements of all kinds? That's a site specific thing. So you'd have to go searching on it or calling the different utility companies directly. We have multiple cities across the county, and each of those cities has a way for you to get your own statement, even if it is contacting them directly and requesting them to email you a statement. PG&E has it somewhere on their website. There's a drop down for different statements that you can do, and you can pull it up month by month, or you can get a year statement. So elaborate on the EIDL, received a loan and our payments begin in 2022. Is that considered a grant because we've not started making payments? Correct. So since no payments have actually been started, that would still be considered a grant until payments start. You can submit the documents that you got stating when your payments are supposed to begin, and we can review that on an individual basis. There is going to be a section that you can upload any other documents, and you can put in information about what you're submitting that document for, and we can take those into consideration. On the W-9, if your partners and both names are on the income tax return, do both names go on line one or just the one that will be signing the W-9? Both. You need to fill out your W-9s. Thank you so much for bringing that up, Leticia. You need to fill out your W-9 exactly as it is on your taxes. Otherwise, the W-9 will get rejected and we will not be able to issue payments. And that is something we saw happen a lot. Follow up for the monthly cash payment. Understand that it is unfortunate many might act in a dishonest way. However, when you're a small business, you're somewhat at the mercy of the landlord, especially in San Joaquin County. Yes, when facilities are limited, we constantly ask to pay by check, which we prefer. However, he will not accept checks from any property. Yeah, I understand. That's why I say submit everything you can, and we will probably have to treat that as an individual basis. Our tax preparers, I already answered that. Can you review where we get all, yep. And is this just for utilities? This is for utilities, rent, and PPE reimbursement. So no PPE that you're anticipating, but PPE that you've already spent for. And then those will be reviewed by our county auditors. So I think I've gone through all of the questions and the question and answer in the chat. So I really appreciate the questions today. It's really great to see all these questions. And we will be getting an actual main phone number September 13th once we reopen our center. And I will communicate that with Tim, and he can send that out into an email blast to everybody again. And if you guys have any questions, small business grant questions at sjgov.org is where you're going to want to send those in. I look at those myself every day along with my staff. So even if I'm not there to look at it as it comes in, my staff notifies me, hey, Katie, there's this question I don't know how to answer, and they loop me in and I get a response. So I look at every single question that comes in. Thank you for putting that up, Tim.
You're welcome. And question, is the grant going to go live at midnight tonight, or like open a business tomorrow, or
midnight tonight?
Midnight tonight. Okay.
Midnight tonight.
So yeah, so I put the, and that's for the small business and for the family assistance as well?
Yes. Yeah, the family assistance will also go live at midnight as well.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. I think, oh, we might have a couple last minute questions coming.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I added the email to the chat box if you want to go and copy and paste it from there, as well as the link to the grant page.
So I do see here, Leticia, if you've submitted your 2019 or 2020 through snail mail and IRS has not entered them into the system, can you still provide the Schedule C from your taxes? Certainly. You can provide them from your tax preparer or the copies that you of the ones that you sent to the IRS. That's acceptable.
All right. Well, thank you again, Katie, for joining us. This was very helpful, I'm sure, to a lot of business owners on here. They're very helpful to me as well if we get people calling and asking questions. Yeah. So thank you so much for taking the time. Hopefully, like I said, we can get everybody applying here and approved and getting some of that money back out to our small businesses here in the community and really helping keep them afloat and keep them open here during these challenging times. So we really appreciate it.
Definitely. And I just want to say thank you guys to the small business community for staying active and trying to do as much as you could through this crazy time. I know it's unprecedented what you guys have all had to struggle through, and we're really hoping to get as much of this back into the community as possible. So please share with your friends that also have businesses, and make sure the nonprofits that you love or the food restaurants that you love or any place that you love to go to knows about this, because we can't get enough information out there sometimes. So we're doing everything we can this round. We've done a lot of grassroots efforts. We've gone door to door in a lot of our small business community within Stockton. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to go out to places like Tracy, Manteca, Lodi. So there's still a lot of stuff out there that needs to be done. And we're going to continue that effort throughout the first few weeks of the application period. Because hopefully you guys are going to be have an overwhelming response to this that we're going to have to go back and ask for more money. I don't know. Maybe.
That'll be awesome. Yeah, that would be awesome. So yeah, there was a question in the chat here. Yeah, this was recorded. I'll get it up on the Stockton Chamber website, the Stockton Chamber YouTube page, all of our social media. I've got if you registered for this webinar, I can email out the recording as well, and I'll get it over to Katie, and she'll get it up on the county social media as well. So if you forgot something that was said today, or you want to go back and look it over again, we'll have that up for you here later today. All right. Perfect. Well, thank you again, Katie, and thank you everybody for joining us. Good luck. And they said, yeah, if you have any other questions about this, you can reach out to myself or Katie, or we can get you in touch with someone over at WorkNet in county to help you out here in the meantime before their business center opens or that phone number gets up. So thank you all again. Have a great day, and hopefully we'll see you out in the community. And someone said it in the chat, go Stockton. Yeah, Stockton's open for business, and we're here to stay. So anything the chamber can do to help, or the county here, just reach out, let us know. We're here for you guys in the business community, and really just to make sure that Stockton is moving in the right direction and going forward. And really the health of the community is very very important to us here at the chamber. I know it is with the county as well. So thank you guys. Have a good day.
Thank you.